Alright, time for something different. Time to make fun of all those entitled son of a guns that call themselves parents. God, I've been looking forward to doing these. But this just won't do. I think it's time for something different over here as well. There we go. My name is Wisteria Loqui and I'll be your host for these story videos. I know it's a bit late to the party, but better late than never. Do stay tuned until the end of the video, as I sometimes have stories of my own thrown in there. Hope you enjoy. Disclaimer: these stories are not mine and I do not own any sort of copyright to them, nor do I own any copyright for the site Reddit where these can be found. All rights belong to their respective owners. Please acknowledge that I am not a native English speaker and do mess up on pronunciations a lot. Enjoy the video. Entitled Mom and Son Eat Poisonous Berries Despite My Warning Signs. Posted by user California Old Timer. Okay, I'm not sure if this is entitled per se or just plain stupidity, but this happened yesterday morning. So, background. I live in Southern California, very close to the beach. Needless to say that I encounter a lot of locals and tourists. On the right side of my property across the street there are shops, a cafe and a bus stop. Now, on my property, I have a hollyberry bush, which are poisonous. Now, they taste like cherries and have a cinnamon-like aftertaste, so a person that doesn't know about the plant would have no idea of this. The side effects of the berries are nausea, disorientation, diarrhea, vomiting, and severe stomach cramps. Due to my house being on the historic registry and nature protection laws, I can't just remove the bush because some of the birds pick at it and eat from it. I know that the berries and leaves aren't poisonous to some species of birds and other critters like certain squirrels and chipmunks. Anyway, because of this, I have two signs that say "do not eat" and "danger." The fact that I have a sign with "danger" with a hazard skull and bones deters most people, except for this persistent mom and boy last morning. So it's around 10:30 and I take my trash out. This mom, who looked about 40, had two kids with her, a teen girl around 14 to 16 maybe, and a little boy who looked 6 to 8 years old. The mom and the boy are the entitled stupid ones here. The teen girl was actually nice. The boy says, "Mom, look! Berries! Wow, I didn't realize berries grew here. Let's get some." I ask her to read the signs that say, "don't eat them." She scoffs and says, "It's not like you need all these berries. You should be nice and give them to my kids. Don't be greedy." "Mom, when are we going to have berries?" "Right now." "Sweetie, you want any?" "No, Mom, I think they're..." Cut off by the mom. "Okay then." Because I'm older, I couldn't run fast enough to catch them. The mom and son broke a branch of the berry bush, they started running and scarfing down berries and went to the bus stop across the street with the teen girl reluctantly following. I was yelling to get her attention for nearly 20 minutes, but after the mom and the boy started getting overly sweaty and acting weird, the teen came to talk to me. "Hey sir, what's wrong?" "Those berries are poisonous. I tried to warn your mother and brother, but it's too late." The teen started to cry, thinking that they were going to die. I comforted her, saying that they'll live, but they're going to be just very, very sick. Soon I went to my house to get seltzer tablets and water bottles to help. But the time I came back, both the mom and son finished all the berries and the boy threw up all over his shirt. The mom came back with obvious signs of throwing up herself to yell at me when I pointed to the signs that said "danger" and "do not eat" and that this was her fault. She flipped the bird and left. The teen just said sorry. I gave her the seltzer tablets and she went into the cafe to get paper towels to clean up her brother. But by the time she came back, the mom vomited too. They all got on the bus and I haven't seen them since. Thanks for reading. Have a great day. Edit. There's been a lot of people asking me about the berries in my house. So I bought my house 50 years ago and I didn't know that the berries were poisonous. Despite me having signs and warning people for all these years, people still manage to eat them. And yes, many people have gotten sick. But due to my house being on the historic registry, I can't remove the bush. So I have to do the best that I can do to warn others, but people still eat them. Entitled Karen gets mad for her son being shot when he was playing paintball. Posted by user GimmeDadB. Okay, so this happened a few years ago now when I was 12 or 13. My friend had invited me and a few of our friends to go paintballing, and I was really excited that it was my first time going. All is going well and continues to go well until the lunch break. Enter Karen.
Hello, did any of you boys shoot my son?
She pointed to her son, who was now in hysterics, sobbing and crying. My friend put his hand up as everyone wore their own distinctive colors, and if you were shot, you were out, so he could tell who we had shot. Yeah, that was me. Is there a problem?
Yes, there's a problem. My innocent 9-year-old was shot by you.
At this point, we were all looking at each other, dumbfounded, and we didn't really know what to say. At this point, the host's parents arrived with the birthday cake. They don't speak English too well, so they didn't understand the dialogue. In any language, however, it was clear this lady was pissed. Excuse me, is there a problem with my boys? He said in a thick Ukrainian accent.
Yes, there is. I would like them to apologize for shooting my boy and for being so disrespectful to me.
At this point, my friend's dad started laughing. I mean, really, really laughing. To the point where he was almost on the floor in tears.
Don't you understand the severity of what they have done? They hurt my boy from less than 2 meters.
That's probably important. There was a rule that you weren't allowed to shoot at anyone closer than 2 meters, but what she was saying was bullshit, as her son was out at the very start of the round and it was a very large map. Nobody was near each other at the time and she wouldn't be able to tell because parents weren't allowed to spectate. At this point I decided to speak up. Excuse me, but first of all, this is a paintballing site. Your son shouldn't have come if he didn't want to get hit. Second of all, you may not know this, but he was not within 2 meters. And then she pulled the old,
"Are you calling me a liar?"
She began to rant about how kids these days had no respect and that she wanted to speak to the manager. The manager did in fact come, and we explained how this woman was harassing us and claiming that we should apologize for hitting our son.
They assaulted my son!
The manager then asked the kid if we had assaulted him, to which he said no. He then said that he didn't even want to come here and that he was only 6. Big no-no. There was a strict policy on age and you had to be 9 to go there. Everyone heard him say this, as the manager shot daggers at Karen. Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. I was expecting her to throw a big straw, but clearly this Karen knew when she was beaten.
Come on, sweetie, let's go home away from these nasty boys.
I felt really bad for that kid, but we didn't let it get in the way of our fun. We carried on as if nothing had happened. Crazy Karen tried to steal my goat. Posted by user FredsRed. This happened in 2003 when I was 13. It's a long intro but important for the story. We lived on a farm and my mother rescued animals and bought purebred dogs and horses to breed and to show. We had 50 plus animals at any given time, but none were in cages. We had the space for them to roam around the property. We had been doing this since I was 10, so I helped deliver my fair share of puppies and kittens. And then came the goats when I was 13. There were 50 white Angora goats in need of a new home after another farm closed down. We had the space, so we took them, and not long after that came breeding season. Some of the goats were too old to breed anymore, so they were separated from the other goats and bucks while everything went down. A few weeks later we could see which were pregnant, so we started to make separate areas for them to settle into while they were pregnant and for when they had their kids. We had 15 pregnant goats. A few of the does were first-time moms. Most of them took to it quite well when the kids were born, but 2 of them rejected their kids. Angora goats only have 1 kid at a time on average. We tried to put those 2 kids with another family, but they didn't want them. So we had 2 choices, put them down or hand raise them. I chose option B. There was a boy who I named Stitch and a girl who I named Lilo. I did the whole thing on my own, getting up every 5 hours to feed them and clean their pen. We kept them inside. After 3 weeks of me doing this, the goats became very attached to me, but mostly Lilo, who would follow me around the farm during the day, whereas Stitch would play with the other baby goats. After 10 weeks, I'd weaned them both off the bottle and they were ready to join the flock, which Stitch gladly did. But not Lilo. She got on better with the cats and dogs than she did with the other goats. She would follow me around everywhere and would start bleeding, crying, if I left the farm. So one day I took her for a walk. I had a dog harness her size, so I put it on her with a leash. I had no clue how she'd respond to this, as she'd never left the farm before, let alone had a harness on. But she took to it straight away. It was like she was so happy to be with me that she didn't notice the harness. Along the first walk down the driveway, one of my neighbors complimented me on my well-trained goat. Lilo absolutely loved it, so I made it a daily thing. Every day when I got home from school, I'd take her for a walk around town, and within a week, I didn't worry about a harness or a lead. She would just trot along beside me with her tail wagging like mad. And then came Karen. We went down to the creek, with me sitting and watching Lilo play in the water. The creek was at the back of the tennis court that sat beside the sport field. There was a cricket match going on that day, but unless you walked off the field, you couldn't see the creek, so I was out of sight. Or so I thought. I heard someone walking up to me, so I turned to say hello. I didn't recognize her, so she must have been from out of town, or a friend of someone from town.
Hi, nice day, isn't it?
Me uncomfortable?
Yeah, it is. Do you live on a farm?
Yeah, just up the road.
Do you have dogs? I'm looking to get a puppy for my son.
We don't have puppies right now, but we should have some in a few months' time.
Can I have yours?
Pointing to Lilo. That's a goat. From a distance, I guess she could be mistaken for a dog, but not when you really looked.
Don't talk to me like that. I've seen you walking your dog around town. Now, give me the dog.
Excuse me? That is a goat. And no, you can't have her. We have other baby goats you can have instead if you really want one. Karen, after really looking and realized it's a goat and not a dog.
I don't like your tone, young lady. What would your mother think if she knew you were talking to me like this?
You can go and ask her yourself if you want, but it's your funeral. Pointing in the general direction to the farm, knowing what my mom's reaction would be to this woman, if she was to try anything with her.
How dare you! I'll teach you for disrespecting me!
Karen proceeded to whistle and call out to my goat in the way you would a dog, expecting Lilo to come to her. When this didn't work, she walked over and attempted to pick her up. Here's the thing about goats. They're fast little buggers. If you think you're going to catch one that doesn't want to be caught, you're in for a rude awakening. Lilo sprinted away from Karen and went in my direction. I picked her up and began to walk away, with Karen muttering profanities under her breath at me and her failed attempt at kidnapping my goat. I was worried she might follow me home, so I took a detour through another property that joins up to the creek and then to our property at the back of the creek. Even if she was to follow me, it's easy to get lost when going this way if you haven't done it before. I never saw Karen again after that, but it didn't discourage me from walking my goat. She was smart and loyal and damn fast when she wanted to be. Most of the time she would be walking me, which is part of the reason why I took her off the leash. A message to all Karens out there: don't steal goats. A sentence I never thought I'd type out. Alright, time for my story of the day. This was about a few weeks back, as you can see by the date. Okay, so this is not exactly an entitled people thing. Maybe fits more in the client is always right category, but I just had to tell this one. I could almost fill a whole segment with my own stories if I remembered to write them down. So, the other day I had register. It was a pretty calm day. I was doing the refill of the cigarettes which had just been delivered, so I was emptying the boxes. Was using one empty box for a bit of a stand. It was easier for me so I didn't have to bow down all the time. Trust me, this one will be an important detail. And this client comes up with a nicely filled card. I said good day, was friendly, yada yada yada. You know, the works of being a good employee. And then the fun started. She had one bag with her. Could have easily asked me for a second one or something, but nope. She starts with, outright demanding to give her a box. Her words, "Can I use one of those boxes you have there behind your register?" And she said this in a really demanding tone. It was formed like a question, but it was an outright demand. I told her no, and I went looking behind the corner if we still had some, and I spotted some long, small boxes we still had and proposed to use those. I told her there, just behind the fire hose. You know, that big red round thing that holds a water hose. Can't really miss it. I heard her mumbling under her breath, fire hose, where's that?" Then she sees the boxes and starts to sigh. You know, that long-winded sigh of, "I'm not getting what I want." And once again, asked me for the boxes that were clearly filled with cigarette packs. I said, "No, we use these ourselves." And when she specified the cigarette boxes, like I didn't know what she was asking, I just downright said, "They're full." Like, "Lady, what do you want me to do with all the stuff inside of these boxes? Just throw them wherever?" At this point, she just gave up and had taken all 5 of the small long boxes and was stuffing her shit in it. Then, while I'm done already, I suddenly noticed that she still had a packet of pasta in her cart, and how she lifts it, there's also a magazine laying there. I told her I needed both. She handed me the pasta but didn't give me the magazine. Telling me she told me she had given it to me already, I said no. I did check to be certain, but I didn't remember it being on the belt. So she asked me in this condescending tone, "Oh, wait, you need it?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I wanted to add, "Duh, you stupid bitch," but can't say that. I also want to add, I didn't write this down, but still want to add that this client has been there for numerous times. I've seen her pass my register like for the whole year that I've been working there multiple times. Let's just say that. So she would know that a magazine needs to be on the belt so I can scan it. Like, bitch, please. Finally, we finish this whole ordeal. She pays. And I ask if she wants the receipt. I give it to her, and I thought that was that. But nope. I see her waiting there, and suddenly hear her ask, "Did I show you my badge?" To be clear, we have this badge or card that you need to scan for a point system. When you reach 500 points, you receive a €5 check you can use the next time. I forgot to ask her, she forgot to give it to me. So she comes back and basically gives me her badge and the ticket, but I tell her that we can't just put points on her card just like that. You have to buy something, and I gave her the option to hold on to that ticket until next time, and I could easily do it next time. But nope, she wasn't having it. I had to do it, and now, 'cause she would lose it definitely in between. So while I'm already greeting the next customer, she once again asked, "So I really have to buy something?" Yes, I can do it just like that. And she begrudgingly goes to get something. Some people just take a candy that's right there at the register, but this lady went all the way to the back to get something and then sighs and moans while giving it to me, basically throws her badge and the receipt at me. I do what I have to. Then she has the audacity to say, "Oh right, I still have to pay for this too." I then ask her if she still wants the previous receipt, and she just tells me, nope. Let me tell you, I was fuming inwardly. Luckily, I could vent a bit to the next customer, as she told me that she was a desk worker at the hospital and knew exactly what I was feeling. Oh, and to get back to the box. Boy, golly gosh, where did this empty box came from? Oh my. If she would have been the second lady, then I would have gladly given it to her. You treat me like a piece of shit, well then I'll be a piece of shit.